All right, everybody, this is Dr. Bartu with PillTalk Podcast, giving you a daily dose of medicine to inspire you, motivate you, and live at your full potential. Today, I got a good guest on, Mrs. Kailah King. She comes out of Philly, as you can see.
Yes, man. Bird gang.
Doula. She got so many titles. Give me 1 second. She's a doula.
It's a lot. I'm a lot.
HIV/AIDS linkage coordinator. She also is a health education specialist. That's just to name a few. So I don't want to mess up anymore. So Kailah, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Let's introduce yourself and let the audience know a little bit about you.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am Kailah, and I don't want to say Miss Kailah. I'm not married. Not Mrs. Miss Kailah. I, like Dr. Wilson said, I am from Philly, born and raised, currently residing. I am a doula, an infant massage therapist, a linkage coordinator for people living with HIV and AIDS. I am a certified health education specialist. I have my master's degree in public health. I am certified in phlebotomy. I am an HIV tester in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm a public health professional overall.
Facts. That's a lot. That's a lot.
A lot.
She's doing a lot for the city of Philly. We appreciate you.
I'm sorry, one last thing. I'm also working on becoming a CPR instructor, BLS and CPR instructor. So that is on the horizon as well.
And saving lives. Let's go. So thank you for coming on Pill Talk today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Man, no problem. No problem. Happy you was able to do it. Take some time out of your busy schedule. So let's get into it. So we want to start a little bit about your background, who you are first, and then we're going to move on into like how you got there and what you do currently. So let's start back on who you are and what gave you the inspiration to start this journey to healthcare.
So who am I? I am Kailah. I am a sister, a daughter, a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, and I would say like a community member, contributor to the community. What started me on the path to healthcare? I always had an interest in like the body. It sounds random, but I was always fascinated by like blood. Growing up, I lived with my great grandparents for a few years, and my great grandfather, he had diabetes type 1. So, every morning you got to prick your finger, check your blood sugar. And I don't know what it was about that, but I was just fascinated with it. Like, I remember my great grandfather always telling me to like back up while he was pricking his finger, because I always just wanted to be so close. And, growing up, most kids, when they get their shots and everything, they're crying and screaming and they're fearful. And I was fascinated by it. Like, I would just look over and be like, can you make sure you wipe my arm before you stick me? I remember a couple of times actually doctors like questioning me, like they weren't sure. They thought I may have like seen or experienced something traumatic because of my, I don't know. I was never afraid of needles. Ironically enough, I'm a doula, infant massage therapist, getting into birth work. When I was younger, I did want to be an OBGYN. I was fascinated with birth. I remember, I don't know, you might not know, I don't know if you watched it, but I was fascinated with like trauma, life in the ER. I love the Discovery Channel and all those shows about birth. And but then I got a little older, learned about how long you have to go to medical school and how much debt you go into. And I was like, maybe not the path for me. But like I said, I always knew I was into health. I got a little bit older, got into high school. I liked sports. So I was like, oh, well, maybe sports medicine. So actually my first 2 years of undergrad, I was an athletic training major. But I ended up having to come home and I did a medical assistant program got my certifications to be a clinical medical assistant. That's how I was introduced to phlebotomy, became a phlebotomist and like the EKG technician. But I couldn't get a job. I, was halfway through a degree working at like TJ Maxx, had all these certifications, but nobody would hire me because I didn't have any experience. And it's like, well, how am I going to get experience if no one would hire me because I don't have any experience? So it was just like a circle of nothing. And I said, not to be, I don't know, conceited, whatever, but I was just like, I'm too smart for this. Like, I'm not going to work at TJ Maxx for the rest of my life. I need to do something. And I was, obviously I need to go back to school and finish my degree. I knew I still enjoy like kinesiology, exercise science, sports, obviously. But that wasn't really the thing for me. And so when I was looking up like programs I could just get into, I came across public health. And I was like, oh, public health is literally like anything that involves health or impacts health. And it doesn't always have to be medicine. It can be, more on like we now know that mental health is a serious thing. So more of like the psychological side. You can go into finance. You can go into public policy and law. All of these things fall under the umbrella of public health. Of course, I still stayed on the medical side of things, but I knew that going into the public health field, I would have a lot more wiggle room to be creative and to have all these jobs that I have and really like tap into all of my interests, but still impact the community and still be able to make money. So when I went to go finish my bachelor's degree, I went in as public health. My undergraduate degree is in health services administration. And then I decided to get my master's. My master's is in community health. Then from those degrees, I've just continued to build upon those with all of my certifications and experience and all that. So, and here I am now.
Here you are.
Still getting certifications and certificates, still building.
That's good. That's good. So you was an undergrad and you saw that public health was a need for you and you wanted to advance in that. So what in public health caught your eye? Because I understand you are a HIV/AIDS linkage coordinator. Was that something that you learned or something that you was interested in undergrad or college that grabbed your attention and led you to this?
Well, yeah, for my senior year, whenever you're in undergrad, your senior year, you have to do like your special project, I think people call it like capstone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to focus on a topic that I hadn't seen anybody else doing on campus. When it comes to public health, people always think about diabetes, high blood pressure, smoking cessation, gun violence, things like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something different. So I kind of I just like reflected over my years on campus. And I was like, what is something that like I never heard people talking about before or I haven't heard in a long time? And I think I was looking through like old pictures and I was in a photo shoot my freshman year of college. Someone came to our campus and talked about HIV/AIDS on World AIDS Day, December 1st. And to promote that event, we did a photo shoot and I was at a photo shoot. That was the last time that someone had mentioned anything about HIV/AIDS on our campus. And I was a freshman. That was like 2009, maybe 2010. It was 2009 because December. And when I was doing my senior project, it was that's a shame. I can't even remember. It was 2014. It was 2014. So, in that many years, 5, 6 years, however many years that is, no one had talked about HIV/AIDS on our campus. So I was like, you know what? That's what I'm doing. And from that, it blossomed. For my senior project, I had someone from Philadelphia who's like a public figure in the city. His name is William Bronner. A man living with HIV/AIDS, and he, does a lot of work, has done a lot of work in that field for years. And to this day, he still has his organization in Southwest Philadelphia. I got him to come speak on our campus for World AIDS Day. He's also, aren't you in a fraternity?
Oh, yes. The number one. So nice to name us twice with Kappa Alpha Psi.
Okay, he's one of your brothers. He's a Kappa. And so he came, and I remember all the Kappas on campus being all hyped because, oh, brother, I don't know how the fraternity thing works, but type on, brotherhood, type on, welcoming. And then a lot of the Kappas on our campus are also from Philly. So, that whole bonding moment. But he used to have, his name's William Bronner. He used to have a documentary on Netflix called 25 to Life, talking about how he contracted HIV. He contracted HIV in the 80s through a blood transfusion as a child. But for years, he kept it a secret because back then in, 80s, early 90s, the ignorance, there's still ignorance today surrounding HIV AIDS, but back then in the 80s, when they were calling it like gay man's disease and, ostracizing people from society, they didn't understand the virus. To be a little black boy living in Philly, you're not going around telling people you have HIV. You know what I mean? So for years, he kept growing up. He kept it a secret, even until like his early adulthood, kept it a secret. And then, going to college, shucking and jiving like almost everybody else does on campus, but still keeping this secret hidden. But he came back from college, had his epiphany, like, wow, I should not be doing this. And, he turned his life around. He came forth like publicly about his status. He's been married twice. He has children. None of the wives, none of the children have HIV. They're all HIV negative. So clearly he was doing what he needed to do medically to not pass it on to or transmit it to, his partners or his children. But, today he's a pastor. Like I said, he has his nonprofit. It's in Southwest Philly. It's called Haven Youth Center. And actually, after I had him come to my campus and talk my senior year, I asked him, could I work for him one day? And he was like, oh, we'll see. Because, people talk, well, we'll see. Fine. After I finished my MPH, when I needed an internship, I came back around knocking on his door. Like, I need an internship. I wasn't playing like, you thought I was BSing like everybody else. Came right back knocking on his door. Like, I need an internship. You remember me from December 2015? Like, I need y'all for an internship. And he was like, you're a woman of your word. Let's do it. Let's go. So I did my internship for grad school with Haven Youth Center, and they actually ended up hiring me for a while. So I was employed by them. That was about a year. And then I started working at the place that I currently work at. And in October, it'll be 3 years that I've been with my current organization.
Okay. So his name, William Bronson?
Bronner. Brawner.
So 2 things. Number 1, I would really like for you to connect me with Mr. Bronner so that he can get on PillTalk podcast and have his own story relayed in his own word so that we can hear from him. That'd be nice and dope. Definitely, I don't know if he is or isn't, but definitely if he is a frat brother, we can bond on that.
He is. Yeah, he is. Because I never forget one time I was in his office doing work, and he had one of his I don't know what it's called, but the wooden I don't want to call it a paddle.
The sheet.
I think so.
It's a paddle.
Okay, I didn't want to call it if it's not supposed to be called that, but he had that. Either that or a shield or something like on his wall behind me. And I took a picture, put it on like my Instagram. And some of my friends that are Kappas that I went to college with, they started chewing me up. Like, what's that doing in your background? This and that. Like, I guess trying to say like I was pretending I'm a Kappa or something. I was like, I'm in my boss's office. Like, relax. I understand, the formalities of things. Yeah. Relax. But yes, he's definitely a Kappa for sure.
All right. So yeah, definitely get him on. And then number 2, working with him, that got you your journey to helping people with AIDS, HIV started off back in 2009 when you did the photo shoot, and then recapturing that moment your senior year doing your capstone. You was like, hey, I want to do this now. And after you did your capstone and got your master's in public health and working with him, what did you started doing with him with that information? Did you start testing people? Did you start giving out knowledge? Did you start doing educationals for everyone? Like, what did you do to help the community at that point with public health?
Oh yeah, with him, I was testing, and I was also like a coordinator. I forget what my title was there, but I was basically doing the same thing that I do now. When folks did come back reactive, I like got them connected with the city, got them connected to a doctor, whatever other socioeconomic services we needed. When I was working with William Bronner at Haven Youth Center, the primary population was like intravenous drug users, sex workers. We were actually the nonprofit is actually located across the street from one of the largest homeless men's shelters in the city of Philadelphia. So a lot of them were coming, and getting tested regularly. Every month we would have like a cookout or like some type of thing where it's like free food. We had an ongoing like clothing closet. So people will always donate shoes from children's, boys and girls, to babies, to men's and women's clothing. So we had a running clothing closet. And during like the monthly cookout, there's free food, free clothes, and the HIV testing. So we did that at least once a month. And, in addition to that, it's the little pamphlets, handouts, condoms, lube, stuff like that. And yeah.
All right. Seemed like you did a lot. And that's how you got your start with being a HIV/AIDS linkage coordinator, by linking individuals with the city resources so that they can be provided correct medical care, doctor visits, and also giving them the knowledge that they need to actually live a healthy lifestyle or a healthier lifestyle, and make sure that they keep the AIDS, HIV at the minimum. All right. So that's how you got your start in that. I guess now let's move forward to how you got into birth work, because that's what we're here to talk about today. You being a doula and providing all these great services for the first time expecting mothers and the mothers who already have kids.
Ooh, how did I get into birth work? So, how I told you a little bit earlier that I always wanted to be an OBGYN when I was a kid. I loved babies. I loved birth. I loved blood, all that stuff. But life takes you on its course for whatever reason. Now at my current job, my 9 to 5, my previous supervisor, I was close with her, and we connected not only as, supervisor, subordinate relationship, but also like just on a public health level, as like colleagues. So I think we were talking about, I don't know what we were talking about one day, but I mentioned always wanting to be an OBGYN or like a nurse or something. And she was like, well, why don't you be a doula? And I was like, well, what's that? And she's like, look it up. And I looked it up, and I was like, can I curse on this show? Or is that not advised? I won't curse. I was like, I want to do that. And it's funny because actually, when I started out in grad school, forget the name of the class, but it was one of my first classes in my fall semester. And we learned about, that was the first time that I learned about the Black maternal like mortality and morbidity rates, and learning about Black children and all the things that Black women or Black birthers face in the United States. And I mean, realistically worldwide. And I remember it pissing me off. And I hated being in those types of classes where, the topic is about Black people and you're that one sprinkle of pepper in a sea of salt. And every time you talk about Black folks, everybody turns to you and looks at you like you have all the answers. So, we're talking about Black maternal health, and it's all these horrible statistics. And every time something comes up, everybody's turning around looking at me. And I remember being so angry and so scared, because honestly, it's one of the reasons why I don't have children yet. Like, I'm afraid to have a child. But I knew that at some point in my public, because even though I was still fixated on like HIV/AIDS, I knew that at some point I would do something about Black maternal health. And I mean, realistically, when we talk about public health and all of these subsets of topics that you can focus on, both HIV/AIDS and maternal health both fall under the umbrella of sexual and reproductive health. So it's like, well, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, why not do both? And here I am today, however many years later, doing both. But like I said, I knew at some point I was going to do something with Black maternal health. So fast forward. So this is 2017. 2019, my boss was like, oh yeah, have you ever heard of a doula? And I was like, no, what's that? I go look it up. I'm doing that. So December 2019, that's when I started the process of like finding a training and figuring out what I was going to call myself. Cause I'm like, well, I need a name. And one day I thought about the Emerald Doula, because the emerald is my birthstone. My birthday's in May. Shout out to all the May Tauruses. And I just figured, emerald, that's a very precious stone. It's a very valuable stone. It's the color green. Green, when we talk about gendering colors, it's a gender neutral color. So
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to make sure that people would understand that, I am an inclusive provider, or as inclusive as I can be, within the realm of what I'm able to do with the resources I have. And just the meaning behind emerald, because, each stone has its own meaning. I loved what the emerald stands for. And then, of course, the color green, wealth,
Yes.
longevity. It's clearly, I don't know if you believe in God, but I personally feel like green is one of God's favorite colors, because there's so much grass and trees all over the world, forests and everything. So, it just signifies like abundance and love,
Yes.
and passion. So that's where I came. That's why I decided on the Emerald Doula. But yeah, I started December 2019.
All right. So you're speaking with your supervisor, and you told her about you wanted to be an OBGYN. And she was like, you know what? I got a great career field for you if you want to take the time and look it up. And it was a doula. You loved it so much that you jumped head first into it. And then you named your company your birthstone, the Emerald Doula. That's nice, yo. I really like that. So with being a doula, I know a lot of people don't actually know what it is and what kind of services they provide. So if you can take a moment to, number one, tell everybody what a doula is, and then we could break down the type of services that a doula provides. So let us know what a doula is.
What isn't a doula? That's the better question. A doula is a lot. A doula is a companion for people who are pregnant. Not only are we that pregnant person's companion, but also whoever's involved in that person's birth team, whether that's the other children, whether that's pets, the partner, mom, dad, parents, whoever. We are companions. We are educators. And everybody has, you don't have to have a degree to become a doula. A lot of the work and a lot of the base knowledge, the foundation of birth work is ancestral, and it's, indigenous. So a lot of these things, there is no formal education. It's just understanding, the body and pelvic dynamics and things like that. You figure all the midwives and the doulas, we didn't even call them doulas back then when they were practicing these things hundreds of years ago. There weren't classes on it. You just learned it. It was instinctive. So I just lost my train of thought. Oh, what do we do? We do so much.
Like, what is a doula?
Right. So we're educators. With me, my approach to how I serve my clients, because I have my public health background, I feel like on my page, I say that my approach is an integrated approach because I have my public health background. So I see the value in, to a certain extent, because I'm also a Black woman. So to a certain extent, I see the value of the medical system and trusting science, again, with a grain of salt. And then, of course, as a Black person, as a Black woman, I also see the value in holistic health. And so a lot of times with medicine and indigenous or ancestral work, there's a lot of headbutting, like doctor versus doula. And with my approach, it doesn't always have to be that. It should be the relationship between a doctor or a provider and a client or patient and a doula or a birth worker should always be integrated. It shouldn't be a versus thing. Because ultimately you put your patient in the middle and they feel like they have to choose between, do I listen to the doctor? Do I listen to the doula? When ultimately it should be that they're getting all of the information from both sides and they make the decision for themselves. So that's my approach to birth work. Like I said, being an educator, I do, to a certain extent, I do like research. So a lot of the information that I present to my clients sometimes is from an evidence-based approach, which usually is important, especially, again, if you're deciding to give birth in the hospital, operating within the healthcare system, everything is evidence-based, right? So if you're throwing numbers at me, I need to sometimes, which you shouldn't have to, but you got to play the game sometimes. If these doctors can throw numbers at us, we need to be able to throw numbers back at them. So, like I said, providing education, providing resources, preparing them for birth while they're in labor or sometimes maybe even giving birth, providing any non-medical physical assistance. So actually, we're recording this today. Yesterday, I was in that room with my family for 24 hours. And while she was in labor, I had her on the birth ball. We had her standing up, moving around in different positions. I had a peanut ball, moving it in between her legs. I did some massages, some hip squeezes, some sacral massage, temple massages. So doing things like that, that's the holistic approach to helping people cope with some of the discomforts in labor.
Nice.
Yeah. And then postpartum things, whatever for it. And this depends on the doula. Some doulas aren't always postpartum doulas. But of course we say that postpartum is like the forgotten trimester. So or the forgotten stage of labor. And so just providing whatever resources, mental and emotional health is a big component of postpartum healing. Of course, the physical health, coming to the home. And for me, some of my services are just coming to the home, helping with some light cleaning, light chores, holding the baby while mom wants to take a shower or take a nap, maybe run to the store, helping with cooking. And then, doulas, we could do anything from helping them get their baby registry together, helping them plan a baby shower, helping with nesting and decorating. For me, I tailor my services to the client's needs.
All right. So a couple of things in there. Number one, I want to start back with, because you mentioned it earlier, but I forgot to ask a question. I know the answer, but I just want to make sure that I know it, right? Earlier you talked about you was doing your research into healthcare and to becoming a doula and all this other good stuff. And you started seeing that the death rates for Black and brown women were higher than other races. And so that you wanted to do something about it, right? And as a doula, do you see that the help that you're able to provide, the service that you're able to provide, helps reduce those risks and deaths in Black and brown women?
Absolutely, because we help people prepare for birth. So that's preparing mind, body, and spirit. And of course, obviously, the earlier on you hire a doula, the better, because now, of course, we're not necessarily magic healers. If you've been eating like crap the past like 30, 40 years of your life, and then like you can't always reverse everything in like 9 months, but you can reverse some things in a few months, So like I said, the earlier you hire a doula, the more chance you have if you aren't practicing these things already. Because to be honest, even before you think about becoming pregnant, you should be preparing your mind, body, spirit, finances, living situation, all of those things before you have a child. But realistically, we know that that's not everybody's case. Not everybody has the privilege of doing that. But like I said, preparing mind, body, and spirit for birth. And also giving people the knowledge so that they can make informed choices, even if their preferences or their choices don't necessarily align with the doula. So, for example, for me, the optimal birth is, well, I won't say optimal, but we a lot of times we stress the clients, like trusting your body, understanding that pain has a purpose. It's not like your body just being angry at you and hurting like hell. These contractions are moving your baby downward, into the birth canal so that he or she or they can come earthside. But with that, people have different medical conditions where they may not be able to birth vaginally. People have different pain thresholds. People have different traumas where they don't want anyone. I mean, granted, you touch your vagina regardless, but they don't want to give birth vaginally, or they may not want to breastfeed. So even though the thing is like, let's try to birth vaginally, natural or unmedicated birth, sometimes that's not a person's preferences. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to, for example, have an epidural while you're giving birth, know that even when you do have an epidural, there are different ways that the epidural can be administered. There are different time periods that an epidural can be administered. You don't have to just say, oh, my water broke, take me to the hospital, I want an epidural. You can labor first for a few hours and then decide to get that. But if no one knows that, what we see in movies and TV shows is, oh, her water broke, rush to the hospital. And that doesn't always have to be the case. But when we're conditioned to think that that's how birth happens, you're just going along. We're taught, we see what we see on TV. We're taught to trust the doctors. The doctors know best. And even when the doctors think they know best, or even when the doctors are operating or they think that they're operating in the best interest for their patients, what they think is the best may not always be the best. We ultimately feel our bodies first, whether that's something that we physically feel or that intuition or that gut feeling when you feel that something is wrong. Only us as individuals feel that. A doctor can't. No one else can see or feel that, So when you have a doula, we have those conversations with tapping. I call it tapping into your inner compass, and learning if we can trust our bodies to breathe every day, to pump blood every day, to blink when we're supposed to blink and swallow when we're supposed to swallow. And these functions, everyday functions, keep us alive, right? So we can just trust our bodies to do those things. Why can't we trust our bodies to give birth? It's another natural life event that's happening. Why can't we trust our bodies to do that? So that's some of the work that we do.
All right. So we talked about a doula in general, but for you at Emerald Doula in Philly, you have a few different services, right? You have the one-on-one consultation. You have the standard package, the virtual package.
You was on the website. Okay.
Hey, I do a little research.
You click the link. You click the link tree. I see it. Okay.
And then you have the labor and birth only package. And to end it all, you got the postpartum services. And each of these packages right here, they cater to a different clientele or a person who has different preferences, what they want from the doula. Not to go on all of them, but just to hit one or two. What is your most popular package? And then what is the package that you would advise a new mother or first-time mother to get?
So,
so the
I
first
guess
question is, what's the popular one?
So the popular one, I guess, would be the standard package, because now the only thing with standard package versus like the labor and birth only package, sometimes I would suggest everybody to get the standard package because that's everything. But the only instance I would suggest the labor and birth only package is one, if you've had multiple pleasant or, not traumatic births. And you've had multiple births that weren't traumatic or anything. And two, that you also have a very strong support system. Because if you've done this thing a couple of times, you're well informed, you haven't had any trauma, or you've healed from your trauma. And then, like I said, if you also have a really strong support system in place, then you don't need me to teach you childbirth education and teach you how your cervix works and teach you how to advocate for yourself. I'm just here just to provide that hands-on support during labor and birth. That's all you need. That's fine. And another reason why somebody may get a labor and birth only package is if they've called me like last minute, even if like no matter if this is their first child or not. So for example, my client that I just worked with yesterday, she was a standard package because she brought me on when she was maybe like 5 months pregnant. So, that gave us plenty of time to do education, to do a couple in-person meetings, and for us to really get to know each other and build that relationship. And then, of course, I'll work with them postpartum as well. Whereas I have a client who just came on with me like the end of August, and she's due the end of this month. So clear. And this is her first child, but even still, it's like trying to cram 6 months worth of information into 1 month. That's not
Pretty
that
hard.
It's not, not that it's impossible, but you just don't have that time to build that same type of relationship. And then of course, I'm rendering I'm rendering the same services, but in a different capacity. So I'm not going to charge you the same amount. And that's just how I do business. Some people have it where it's like your price is your price, no matter if you bring me on the day that you find out you're pregnant or the day before you're due to give birth. But how I do things, I prorate my prices depending on how far along they are in the pregnancy, what their support system looks like, and like I said, ultimately what they're looking to have.
So you cater it to the individual themselves. You have a package price, but then you also take the time to cater it to the individuals and the stage that they need it in. So that's good. So you did answer my question. The most popular package and the one that you prefer people to get will be the standard package. And that is the comprehensive support during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum periods. So that was some good stuff. And then there's one more thing I want to talk with you about is the service that you provide. And that's an after-birth service where you provide infant massage therapy. So
yes.
Everybody loves the kids. So
right.
Let the people know exactly the benefits of infant massage therapy so that they can get an understanding of what it is and how it impacts the baby's lives and the mother, father, and family bonding time.
So infant massage, and every time I talk about infant massage therapy, I feel like my voice gets high pitched because I'm like, oh, infant massage therapy. So, and I've seen how it's practiced in other countries, and I don't know if it exists in the United States yet, but I know that in other countries they have like baby spas. So you know how adults, we can go to the spa and get massages, get facials, sit in the pool. There are places in other countries that have that. And typically it also has like a medical component. I mean, going to the spa does have its medical, emotional benefits for adults. And in other countries, I guess they have enough research or just enough backing to support this so that they're able to have these sensors. And then typically, in addition to the, quote unquote, luxury side of it, there's usually some type of nurse or nurse practitioner on staff that will do like a weigh-in, like check vitals of the baby, things like that. But that's what it looks like in other countries. But in the United States, to my knowledge anyway, infant massage therapists, our job isn't to massage the infants themselves. Our jobs are to show parents and caregivers how to do certain techniques. And then, of course, to talk to them about like some of the theories behind infant massage and why it's important and how it promotes that bonding time and that touch, just that personal touch. One of the things that drew me to infant massage therapy, I remember my mom would massage me as well, but I remember my grandma always massaging me every night before I went to bed. My grandma was massaging me until I was in like the 4th grade. Like I seriously. And I just remember just that time every night before bed, her massaging my feet. And I know that's one of the reasons why her and I have a really close-knit relationship. And so, when I decided to become a doula, I always had that like on my to-do list. I wanted to do like child massage, infant massage therapy. So like I said, we teach parents and caregivers how to do some of the different techniques. Like I mentioned, it is absolutely a time for bonding. I enjoy infant massage, especially with showing dads how to do it, because I feel that a lot of times with parents, the mom is always the hands-on one. And especially when they're younger, and the dad is like, I don't want to, macho. I don't want to touch it. Here she's too little. I don't want to hurt her. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to hold her. And it's like, okay, well, learn. Like the mom didn't know how to hold the baby either, but she learned. You're 50% of this child. You need to come and learn how to hold this baby and bond with this baby. So it's always fun having that conversation with dads. And like I said, taking that time to use personal touch is the bonding time. Massage is also very good for relieving some symptoms like with gas and colic. If a child is experiencing any congestion, you can do certain techniques to help relieve some of that congestion, like in their sinuses. There are also some techniques that can help with teething, helping alleviate some of that pressure that babies feel when those teeth are starting to sprout through. I would also say that as you continue to do massage with your kids, because of course doing infant massage, it doesn't just stop when they're a baby. They, like with me, like I said, my grandma was massaging me until I was in like the 4th grade. So, as they become toddlers, for me, what I tell parents, it's a time to also teach your children about, anatomy, their body parts, using the proper language for body parts. And as they get a little bit older, things like good touch, bad touch, consent. So I also use those as an opportunity to show parents how to use that with their kids.
Nice. So at your business, the Emerald Doula, you provide both of these services, right? So do you provide them as a package for parents or couples, or these sold separately? Or how can someone see this and be like, hey, you know what? I do need a doula, and I would love to have infant massage therapy as well.
So it's both of them. I do them. So with my my labor and support and my standard package, that's a part of, that's a part of the services that I offer. And then I also have it set up as like standalone classes. So I have it in formats of one-on-one, like the family and myself, or, a couple of families and myself. So like a small group setting. Mm-hmm. And I have that set up so that I could do that in person or virtual.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we gave them enough information today that they can definitely use for themselves moving forward. But if they want some of the professional help at Emerald Doula, can you give them your social media handles, your email, your website, so that they can be able to do what I just did, make sure they can look it up, get all the information needed to contact you so that they can get some of these services provided?
Yes. So I do have an Instagram. It's the Emerald Doula. So it's THE and then Emerald Doula. What did you say? My face. I don't have I have my email address. Instagram is the Emerald Doula. My email address is the Emerald Doula 215 at gmail.com. And my website, I need y'all to just go to, because I haven't bought the domain. I'll keep it 100. I haven't bought the domain for my website. Yeah, I'm still in the building phases. So all you have to do is just go on my Instagram, and in the link of my bio, I have a link tree, and there's the the link to my website. Because the website is like the Emerald Doula 215.wixsite/.com, something like that. So, but it exists. It's out there. Dr. Wilson can vouch because he went on it. He saw it.
Definitely. I'm on it right now, looking at all the good things that you could provide for people. So anybody that's out there, definitely in the Philly area, are you able to provide these services virtual for anyone around the world or the nation?
Yep. And I travel. I am a traveling doula. So I'm able to provide my services nationwide.
Nice.
In person
nice.
and virtually.
So if you're looking for a doula, virtually, in person, nationwide, anywhere, you can hit up the Emerald Doula anytime, any place. You know her Instagram, the Emerald Doula on Instagram. If you need these services, make sure you hit her up. Let her know that you saw it on PillTalk podcast. And we'll get with it. So everybody out there, thank you for joining in, listening, and being a part of PillTalk podcast, getting your daily dose of medicine that inspire you and motivate you to live at your full potential. Today was a good episode, learning more about the doula and everything that they provide. Thank you, Kailah.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, until next time. See you later.